The twin suns of the frontier world cast long bands of gold across the arena as the human named. Ryan stepped into the circle marked by glowing stones. The air shifted with a low hum of energy rising from the floor. Thousands of alien onlookers filled the tiered stands, their voices blending into a trembling chorus of excitement and disbelief. They had never seen a human walk with such quiet confidence. They had never witnessed anyone except a dare from their Princess Dot at the far end of the arena. The princess stood upon her raised platform. Her name was Lyra, heir to the throne of a proud warrior race known for strength, discipline, and an unbroken line of champions. Her posture was regal as she faced the human before her, but her eyes held a spark that revealed she enjoyed the spectacle far more than tradition allowed. The crown of living crystal upon her head shifted in soft colors as it responded to her mood. The faintest smile pulled at the corner of her lips. She raised her voice so the entire Colosseum could hear. Her words hit the crowd like a surge of thunder. "Defeat my champion, and I am yours." The audience roared with shock. No princess in her world had ever spoken such a challenge to an outsider. Yet she showed no hesitation. She stared directly at the human who stood calmly at the center of the ring. Ryan did not wear ornate armor or ceremonial weapons. His gear was standard explorer issue. His boots were dusted with red soil from weeks of travel across the frontier. His hands were empty. He did not raise his voice. He simply nodded once. Lyra's champion stepped forward. He was called Terran. His massive frame caught the light like carved stone. His armor gleamed with the sigils of a dozen victories. The crowd fell silent in reverence as he entered the arena. Even the princess lowered her eyes in respect to the warrior, who had won every challenge placed before him. Terran looked down at the human as if studying a strange creature. Ryan did not flinch. Terran's voice boomed. "I do not wish to harm one so small, but the princess has spoken. Prepare yourself." Ryan answered with calm words. "I am prepared." The arena floor shifted. Barriers of shimmering energy rose around the edges. The signal drum echoed once. The challenge began. Terran moved first. His stride was enormous, dust lifting in bursts around his steps. He brought down his massive gaunted fist with the speed of falling stone. Ryan dodged with a pivot so smooth and quick it stunned the closest spectators. Terran's blow smashed into the floor and sent cracks spiraling outward. Ryan circled, analyzing every motion of the towering fighter. His training as a frontier explorer demanded awareness, adaptation, and prediction. He had survived storms, beasts, and hostile outposts. He had learned to use everything around him as a tool. In Terran's size and strength, he saw both threat and opportunity. Terran advanced again. His strikes were powerful enough to crush steel. Each swing stirred the air with a sharp rush. Ryan avoided each one, not by chance, but by reading the movement in Terran's shoulders and the shift of weight in his steps. The crowd grew restless. They respected strength. They prized raw power. Yet the small human evaded the champion again and again. Princess Lyra leaned forward. Her gaze sharpened. She saw not fear in the human, but calculation. Her pulse quickened. She felt something stirring in her chest. She wondered if he truly believed he could win. Terran finally paused. His breathing grew deep. "You move well, but you cannot evade forever," Ryan replied with steady resolve. "I do not need forever." He dashed forward. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen any challenger run toward Terran. Ryan slid beneath a sweeping strike, touched the ground with one hand, and used the momentum to leap upward. He struck the release latch of Terran's shoulder guard with the edge of his palm. The heavy armor plate dropped with a clatter. Terran staggered in surprise. No one had ever exploited the weak points of his armor. The crowd burst in shouts. Some cheered. Some jeered. Lyra's pulse pounded. For the first time, her champion had been touched. Rian moved again. He circled behind Toran and targeted another joint. Toran spun, but his armor slowed him. Ryan's strike landed clean. Another plate fell. Toran roared, a sound that shook the arena. He ripped off the remaining armor pieces and threw them aside. Now he stood in hardened combat mesh, his muscles moving like living stone. Enough. Face me without running. Ryan stopped. He took a balanced stance. As you wish, Toran lunged. They collided like two storms meeting. Ryan's fists moved with precision, striking nerves and weak points. Toran's blows landed like thunder, each one sending shock through the ground even when they missed. Ryan absorbed one glancing hit and staggered, pain flaring along his ribs. The crowd howled. Lyra's breath caught. The human steadied himself. Toran pressed forward. Yield, Ryan tightened his stance. Not yet, they exchanged blows. Ryan's speed met Toran's power. Dust rose around them like smoke. The arena became a haze of motion and force. Toran's strength was overwhelming. Ryan's endurance began to strain. His breaths grew short. Sweat rolled down his brow. He felt the bruise deepening along his side, but he never stopped analyzing. He saw Toran's pattern. He recognized a habit in the champion's footwork. Toran shifted his weight before each decisive strike. That shift created a staggered pause. To most fighters, it would be invisible. To a trained explorer, it was a window. Toran raised his arm for a finishing blow. The crowd held its breath. Lyra gripped the armrests of her throne. The arena floor vibrated under Toran's final charge. Ryan waited until the last possible fraction of a second. Then he stepped inside the champion's reach, caught the angle of his arm, and redirected the force downward. Toran's own momentum carried him forward. Ryan twisted, using every ounce of strength he had left. Toran crashed to one knee. The ground trembled beneath him. The Colosseum erupted in shock. Ryan stood trembling but unbroken. Toran tried to rise, but Ryan placed one hand against his shoulder in a gesture not of domination, but respect. Toran bowed his head. The champion spoke with honor. You have won. The barriers faded. The hum of energy died. The silence was absolute. All eyes turned to the Princess Lyra, stepped down from her platform. Her steps were light yet controlled. Every motion radiated regality, but there was warmth beneath it now. She stopped in front of Ryan. For a long moment, she studied him. She looked at the bruise forming on his ribs. She looked at the determination still burning in his eyes. She spoke softly, but her voice carried across the arena. You stood before the strongest of my people. You fought not with brute strength, but with resolve, insight, and courage. You accepted my dare, knowing the cost. You did not seek to humiliate my champion. You honored him. You honored us. Ryan bowed his head slightly. I came to understand your world. I never intended disrespect. Lyra felt a warmth spread in her chest again. She lifted his chin gently so he would meet her eyes. And now the dare is complete. The crowd leaned forward. The air held tension like a drawn bowstring. Lyra's next words filled the entire arena. I am yours. Exclamations burst from the stands. Warriors pounded their weapons against their armor. Some shouted in celebration, others in disbelief. Ancient tradition was being reshaped before their eyes. Ryan stepped back in surprise. He searched her face. I did not fight to claim you, Lyra smiled softly. I know. That is what makes the claim worthy. My words were not a trap. They were a promise. You overcame the trial I set. In doing so, you have earned my respect and my choice. She extended her hand. Ryan hesitated only a moment. He took her hand gently. There was no ceremony, no grand declaration. Yet the moment was powerful enough to make the arena tremble. Terran rose behind them. Though defeated, he bowed deeply to both the princess and the human. My strength was not enough today. His spirit surpassed mine. I accept the outcome with honor. The crowd responded with a unified roar. Respect mattered more than victory. Tradition accepted the result. Lyra led Ryan out of the arena through a corridor lined with shimmering crystal panels. The noise of the Colosseum faded as they walked. Her steps were graceful. His were steady despite the pain in his ribs. She guided him into a quiet chamber where soft light drifted from floating orbs. She stopped once they were alone. Calm replaced the earlier excitement in her voice. Tell me truthfully, did you fear Terran? Ryan shook his head slightly. I respected his strength. Fear came second to purpose. What purpose? She asked. Ryan looked at her. To show that humans are more than the galaxy believes. To prove we can stand with strength while offering peace. Lyra felt her chest tighten. She had expected bravado or pride. Instead, he offered sincerity. Then know this. Today, you have changed how my people see yours. Today, you have changed how I see you. She touched the place over her heart in the gesture of her people. Ryan responded by touching his chest in his own simple gesture of respect. The two motions aligned. She stepped closer. Your victory binds us, but I would rather you stay by choice than by tradition. Ryan met her eyes. Then I stay by choice. Her breath trembled as she exhaled. Then a new path begins for both of us. Beyond the chamber, the crowd continued to cheer the human who had done what none had dared. The suns dipped behind the arena towers, casting long shadows across the ground. The world had changed in a single challenge. The fate of two peoples shifted with one human's resolve and one princess's daring words. And in the quiet of the chamber, far from the cries of the arena, the princess and the human stood together.